Okay, this is part 3 of Settlements 101 for parties in a civil dispute. And right now I'm going to be speaking from the perspective of why a defendant should consider settling. Nobody asks to get sued, but an action is typically only brought against a defendant if a plaintiff really believes that they have a legitimate claim, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they will succeed in proving their claim, but as a defendant, you really got to ask yourself, is this a risk that's worth taking? Do I want to spend thousands of dollars in legal fees to defend myself? Fees that I may not fully recover. But even more importantly, if it seems that a plaintiff has quite a bit of evidence and a reasonable cause of action, it is wise for a defendant who is in a position where they're forced to defend themselves to try to see if it's possible to avoid a trial. And here's why. First, if the matter proceeds to a trial, then it becomes a matter of public record. So depending on the nature of the claim, a defendant should really consider whether they want their name, their business, their information being publicly disclosed and available to the public, which could hold them up to scrutiny and create other issues for them. The other thing that a defendant needs to consider is, if the plaintiff is successful at trial, is the defendant in a position to pay the judgment that was claimed against them? And keep in mind, they're not only going to, typically, they're not only going to just be paying the judgment, they're going to be paying pre-judgment and post-judgment interest. So if that matter's been going on for, let's say, 2 years, that's 2 years worth of interest, and interest will continue to be calculated thereafter until the judgment is paid. The plaintiff can also ask for the court to award costs to recover some of their legal fees. And guess who's paying for that? The defendant will have to pay for that if the plaintiff is successful at trial. So the defendant would have also had to have paid for their own legal fees to defend themselves. But at the small claims court, parties are able to be self-represented. But again, is that a risk that you want to take if you're not experienced in the law? And in legal advocacy and civil procedure for that matter. At the small claims court, specifically in Ontario, there is also another reason why defendants should consider settling. If an offer to settle was on the table and open for acceptance until a trial commenced, and then they didn't accept that offer, and then the plaintiff is successful, that plaintiff could get double cost consequences against the defendant.